Hi, it's Steve here from Snap with an overview of the new Trends functionality available within our scenario comparison tool. You can access the dedicated scenario comparison functionality by clicking on the menu at the top of your page and then clicking Compare Scenario. This will allow you to select between 1 and 5 scenarios, and then you'll click Compare Selected Scenarios. In our first release of this tool, we provided the Summaries section, which includes this customizable table of metrics. So you'll see here we have all of the metrics that we've included for comparison, and then we have our 3 scenarios across the top of the table. This is a great tool in order to see total values. For instance, we can see the total lifetime expenses or total personal taxes paid throughout the plan. And it's also helpful for point-in-time comparison. So here we can see at the end of the projection, they're expected to have $421,000 in financial assets, and we can see the difference between each scenario. Another great way to review projections is through trends or through charts. And from here, we can see a chart of the entire length of the projection in order to see how projections differ over time. So in this case, we actually have the same default spending assumption across all 3 scenarios. And this can be helpful to confirm just so that you know that there's not a difference in spending assumptions that's driving the change in outcomes for the client. So here we have all 3 scenarios assuming the same spending, and we can see what other differences occur throughout the plan. As we scroll down, you'll see a similar result for the total expense chart. And then once we get to the personal tax, we can see quite a bit of deviation between the 3 scenarios. In our base scenario where we take CPP at age 65, you'll see that there's a fairly low level of taxes payable during that initial period prior to the RIF starting. If we defer CPP, we'll see that we actually pay no taxes for that initial period until CPP starts, and then we see a jump at that point and then again at age 72. And in the recommended scenario where we defer CPP and start RIF early, we can see that there is a low level of taxes payable and then a spike at 72. Continuing down, we can see other charts within the projection. So we can see how government benefits compare and the personal estate in terms of the financial assets that are available. And as we continue down all the way to the estate after tax section, which is the most commonly referenced value for comparing scenario outcomes, we can see that the base scenario of taking CPP at 65 is the preferred approach if the client passes away anywhere between age 65 and roughly 75. You'll see that that's the top outcome in terms of estate after tax. But then once the client reaches age 76 and for all years going forward, our recommended scenario of deferring CPP and starting RIF early becomes the preferred approach. And we can see that there's quite a large deviation between the base outcome and the recommended scenario the longer the client lives. You can export this information by clicking on the menu option and then either downloading the file that you want, or you can print the chart directly. We can also change the period that's being presented in the chart. So if you wanted to just focus on retirement, for instance, you could change the from year, and that's going to adjust each of these charts in order to provide a shortened window. So here we can see that that's all been customized to now begin as a retirement. You can also customize which metrics you want to include in your list of charts. So for instance, here we have information about corporate estate, which does not show in this projection. So we can always click Select Metrics to Show and uncheck that particular chart, and then click Show Selected Metrics, and that's going to remove that from our included list. And if we want, we can click on the arrow and then click Save Current Metrics for new clients, and that's going to default those selected charts for all future scenario comparisons, and we can always go back in on a one-off basis and add them in as needed. So that's the new Trends functionality. We are very excited to hear your thoughts. We're continuing to work on the scenario comparison feature, so there's more to come. Please let us know anything that you'd like to see or anything that's working great, and we will factor that into our ongoing development work. Thanks very much and have a great day.